This is the video on completing the square. That is when you halve the middle value and write it slightly differently. For the first one, the middle value is a 6, so you start by writing x plus 3 and you square it. If you square x plus 3, you'll get an extra 9 that you don't want, and that's the reason you take away this number squared. So you take away 9. Then you look at the last digit, which is minus 4, and you bring it down here as minus 4. The last thing to do is to simplify these two terms. So you end up with x plus 3 squared, but minus 9, take away another 4, is minus 13. That's your answer to question 1. Question 2 is slightly more difficult because it's a decimal. So you can either write it as a fraction or you can write it as a decimal. I'm going to choose fractions here, but you could write decimals if you wanted to. X minus 7. 7 is your middle number, so you halve it. So I'm going to write x minus 7 over 2, because that's half of 7, squared. You always take away this number squared, so I'm going to take away 49 over 4, because that's what 7 times 7 and 2 times 2 would give me. So that is 7 over 2 squared, and then you add 1. Finally, you combine the last two terms, so you end up with x minus 7 over 2, all squared, minus 49 over 4 plus 1. Think about the number 1 written as 4 over 4, because that's what 1 is. So minus 49 over 4 plus 4 over 4 is the same as starting with minus 49 and adding 4. So your final answer would be x minus 7 over 2 squared. Minus 49 add 4 goes nearer to 0, so it's minus 45 over 4. You can leave it like that, or you could divide them on a calculator and get a decimal. And that could be 3.5 if you wanted to. But this is the right answer, and it's more common to write it as fractions. Last question is the hardest one of the lot. The last question involves factorising out. There's a number 4 in front first. Now, you do not divide by 4, because that changes the value, and I'll explain that when I finish the question. You factorise it. Take the 4 away by moving it out as a larger bracket. Then whatever goes in here must multiply by 4 to make x squared, so it must be 4 times x squared. Whatever you put here must multiply by 4 to make minus 12x, which is minus 3x. And whatever goes here must multiply by 4 to make plus 8, which is plus 2. Then you close the bracket. You remember to leave the 4 there the whole time. Now complete the square in the middle bit. Gives you x minus half of that. I'm going to write 3 over 2. It's easier. Then square it. Remember to always take away that number squared. So if I square the 3 and the 2, I'm going to get 9 and 4. Then you look at the last digit and you add on 2. Still, the 4 is on the outside. You continue the process. So, simplifying the last two terms, 2 is the same as writing 8 over 4, because 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I'm going to write that as 8 over 4, and rewrite it. 4 x minus 3 over 2 squared minus 9 over 4. I'm rewriting that as 8 over 4. I can then simplify nice and easily. Minus 9 add 8 is minus 1. So I leave it as 4 x minus 3 over 2 all squared minus 1 over 4, close the bracket. Now you have to multiply the 4 back in, because the 4 will multiply by this bracket, just write it in front, and the 4 also multiplies the fraction. So your final answer is 4 times that. You leave it as x minus 3 over 2 all squared, which you could write as 1.5 if you wanted to. That's that times that, and then you do the 4 times the minus a quarter, which is minus 1. That is your final answer for completing the square.